Right, so we've long seen people having to make the choice between heating and eating as we endure this cost of living crisis, haven't we? On top of years of Tory inflicted austerity. But now we're seeing people in England having to weigh up as to whether they can afford to do without their prescription medication or not. It's a uniquely English issue, of course. Prescriptions are free in Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales, and for a long time, people have been saying they should be free here too. But the calls for that are going to grow louder as it becomes apparent people simply can't afford to pay for their meds and the ramifications for their health that may lead to. The data for this has come from the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, who ran a survey amongst their members, pharmacists, obviously, that found that half of those responding to it had been asked by patients which medicines on their prescriptions they could do without, based on their ability to pay for them, and two-thirds had reported people asking if there was a cheaper over-the-counter alternative. When you consider patients in England who charge £9.35 per item, it can be an expensive matter. Medications aren't prescribed for the fun of it. If a doctor has given you a script for something, they, in their medical opinion, have decided that you need it. It shouldn't be a case of going without certain things. And if you are denying what you need for your health based on cost, it's a virtual certainty we're going to end up seeing a rise in additional worsening or more serious health issues amongst the English population, at least in part caused by people denying themselves the treatment they need because they can't afford it. There will be a knock-on effect in the health service because of this. Patients becoming more ill due to not collecting their prescriptions are more likely to end up needing further intervention, more likely to end up in hospital. Our NHS already under strain without further workload being added to it, especially when that is easily preventable. It will lead to a generally poorer health that can lead to more time off work, hurting productivity, potentially having an economic impact as well in that case, as well as increased hospital admissions. Prescription charges were amongst the first signs of reversing free universal healthcare at point of use, having been introduced in 1952 during the second premiership of Winston Churchill. Leave a Tory in charge of the NHS and see what happens, eh? It's always been the same, hasn't it? Some prescription charge exemptions were later introduced in 1968, but that's the last time prescription charges, or the idea of them, were reviewed in England. It's been over 50 years since it's been looked at. Is it not time these things were looked at again? Is it right anyone should pay for essential items such as prescribed medication in this day and age? Why are we in England, inverted commas, I'm Cornish, don't get me started on that, but why are we so far behind the other nations of the UK? Is it not time it was abolished? Free prescriptions are available for the over 60s, the under 16s, hospital inpatients, pregnant women, and some people with certain health conditions and disabilities. Not all. Functionally, if you're in work, you pay. Pay for many, as we know, already doesn't pay enough to live on, so you can see how this has a direct economic impact when those in work are actually the ones most likely to be looking to skip their meds. Disproportionately, of course, will be those disabled people in work, more likely to be reliant on certain medications in order to work than the typical worker, making this arguably a discriminatory issue too, on a protected characteristic. It's also somewhat insulting in that you're only considered disabled enough to warrant a free prescription if you aren't able to work. Those having to pay on regular meds can, of course, get a prepayment prescription certificate. And if you take regular medication, it's absolutely the best way of doing it. But this still costs money. It works out at £9 per month if you buy a 12-month certificate, but you've got to buy 12 months in one go. That's £108 to find. You can buy this in 3-month increments, but that works out at just over a tenner a month, more than a single item prescription anyway. It'll suit some, but certainly not all. Ultimately, this tax on health has to go. But the government claims via the Department of Health and Social Care that 89% of prescriptions are free anyway. Only 1 in 10 people pay for a prescription anyway. Well, why is it so difficult then for this government to make the blasted things free for everybody then?